Welcome to Choodle Sketches by Sir Chubby, where faith is learned, understood, and deepened in simple ways. Let's get started. Welcome to another meaningful journey in faith, life, and truth. Today, we're diving into a powerful and pressing topic: how the Catholic Church addresses the anti-life mentality in culture. In a world where life is often devalued, where the unborn, the elderly, the poor, and even the environment are treated as expendable, the Church raises her voice like a prophet proclaiming, life is sacred. Pope St. John Paul II, in his landmark encyclical Evangelium Vitae, the Gospel of Life, paragraph 28, boldly confronted what he called a culture of death, a world where threats to life are not only tolerated but are even legalized and normalized. He writes, "We are facing an enormous and dramatic clash between good and evil, death and life, the culture of death and the culture of life." The anti-life mentality shows itself in various forms: abortion, euthanasia, artificial contraception, the death penalty, war and terrorism, poverty, and even environmental destruction. But the Church doesn't just condemn, she teaches, heals, and proposes a way of life rooted in love and human dignity. Pope St. John Paul II reminds us, this isn't just a debate. It's a battle for the heart of humanity. In a world that legalizes what should never be justified, we must choose the way of life. Even when life is fragile, broken, or weary, it remains sacred. Suffering does not take away a person's worth. On the contrary, it calls us to love even more deeply. Pope St. John Paul II gives us a roadmap, not just for the Church, but for humanity. He says, respect, protect, love, and serve life, every human life. Only in this direction will you find justice, development, true freedom, peace, and happiness. This is not just a message, it's a mission. If we want a better world, a just, free, and peaceful one, we must begin where it all begins, with life itself. The Church's defense of life is holistic. From conception to natural death, every person has a God-given dignity. Pope Paul VI in Humanae Vitae reminds us of the sacredness of human sexuality and openness to life. Each and every marital act must remain open to the transmission of life. Artificial contraception, often promoted as progress, contributes to the rejection of life and paves the way for viewing life as a burden rather than a gift. A man who grows accustomed to the use of contraceptive methods may forget the reverence due to a woman reducing her to a mere instrument for the satisfaction of his own desires. Pope Paul VI teaches us that life and love go hand in hand. Marriage isn't just about feelings, it's about giving the gift of life with reverence. When we separate love from life, people are reduced to things. Pope Benedict XVI, in Caritas and Veritate, expands the Church's pro-life message to include economic and ecological justice. Openness to life is at the center of true development. This means standing against policies and structures that exploit the poor, damage the planet, and reduce human beings to mere consumers. Justice demands sacrifice. The Church challenges us to move from selfish comfort to a generous concern for others. Real progress isn't about profit or power, it's about placing people at the center, especially the most vulnerable. The Church challenges us to build a civilization of love, where life is welcomed, protected, and celebrated. Now, let's listen to the voice of Pope Francis, who invites us to care not only for nature, but for all life, especially the most vulnerable. He says in Laudato Si, "Since everything is interrelated, concern for the protection of nature is also incompatible with the justification of abortion." What does this mean? It means we can't truly care for the environment while ignoring the destruction of human life in the womb. Protecting trees and oceans is important, but so is protecting the smallest human beings, even before they are born. For the Church, being pro-life and being pro-creation are not separate missions. They are one and the same. Pope Francis also reminds us, a sense of deep communion with the rest of nature cannot be real if our hearts lack tenderness, compassion, and concern for our fellow human beings. Caring for the earth begins with caring for each other. We are part of creation, not above it. And when we protect human life, from womb to tomb, we show our deepest love for God's creation. Every act of care for the earth must be matched with care for the human soul, for the poor, the unborn, the elderly, and the abandoned. True love for creation includes love for every person. The Church calls us to be stewards of both nature and human life, building a world where dignity, justice, and peace flourish. Let us go forth, not just as caretakers of the planet, but as guardians of life itself. The Church invites us to become a people of integral love, where justice flows from the heart, where ecology embraces ethics, and where compassion shapes culture. This is Sir Chubi reminding you that we are God's handiwork, and to defend life is to defend creation in its fullest, most sacred sense. Let us then be joyful and courageous witnesses of the gospel of life.